Court reporters hold one of the most important roles in the justice system. We're entrusted with the official records of the courts, and we also have to run our own businesses, which is not something most of us were prepared for. I'm Bryn Seymour, freelance court reporter and life coach, and I invite you to join the discussion about the problems we face and the solutions we create on the unique journey of a stenographer.
Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Court Reporter Podcast.
Hello, here with us today is Kyung Green. She has 20 years of experience as a freelance certified court reporter in the state of California. She has her bachelor's degree from the University of California, Berkeley, and is a graduate of South Coast College of Court Reporting. Kyung is a frequent speaker at national, regional, and local conferences where she often teaches rate negotiation skills to freelance court reporters and students. Kyung enjoys sharing her experience as an instructor and a mentor. Her goal is for every reporter to realize that they're a professional business. So let's get right into it with Kyung Green. Welcome to the Court Reporter Podcast. Hi, Kyung. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for inviting me on.
Thank you for coming. I'm really excited to talk to you. So for now, I'm going to have you just introduce yourself and share a little bit about your Facebook group and your background.
Yeah. So I went to college and I graduated, and my mom's like, and I was just doing temp work, and my mom's like, hey, why don't you look into this court reporting thing? I'm like, okay, fine. So I went, and I took forever. I'm one of those people who took forever to get through school. I was like out partying. I was like going nights. It just took me a very long time. And this is back when the test was only in California, it was only given twice a year, and I took it on a typewriter. So there you go. That's why it took me forever. Yeah. And then, but while I was temping, I was working for Kawasaki Motor Finance. So I did a lot of collections work. So it wasn't like I was calling you up going, hey, you need to pay your bills. It was more of a financial for the dealerships who are selling the motorcycles. So they had lines of credit. And so that's where I'm coming from. And so I had to make calls, and then I started court reporting. And like I said, it took me forever. And then from day one, I've always looked at court reporting as a business and a career. And I've always treated it that way. So a lot of people get into it and they're like, oh, I'm going to do this. I really want to be on the machine. I really like the little machine. It's interesting. And, of course, there's the whole flexibility of it all, which is great. And then there's the opportunity to be your own boss. But being your own boss means that you are your own boss. So you have to look at it as a business and not just something you're doing kind of fly by night. And, when we go to school, we learn so much about the machine, the vocabulary, the business, I know it's called business and practice code, but it's not like really business or accounting or financials or the money aspects of court reporting. They just sort of send you out there and say, hey, here, go, bye, nice. Get your CSR, go. And a lot of reporters are like, okay, cool. Where can I work? And you're so focused on, I got to get my job. I got to produce the transcript. I got to turn it in. I got to get paid. But then there's this whole back end to it that you need to really look at, because you're going to get this money. It's not all your money, unfortunately.
Can you tell us a little bit about how incorporating your business may be a good thing, or is it recommended? Who should do it and who should not do it?
Incorporating is, you can ask 5 different CPAs and you'll get like 5 different answers, because it depends on your circumstances. If you, I do a Zoom seminar on incorporation, and it's a hot topic among court reporters because we're always trying to save some money. So to not give it to Uncle Sam and, keep it for ourselves and put it into retirement or spend it on whatever you want to spend it on. But, so it depends, some people it's great. Some people it's not going to make any sense whatsoever. There's going to be, of course, there's more paperwork and more administrative detail. I would say talk to your tax person and ask them, hey, is this right for me? If you're a single mom with 3 kids and making, $75,000 or $80,000 a year in California, your incorporation is not going to help you, because you're probably getting so many tax write-offs for those kids, and you're under a certain income threshold, so you're getting other tax rebates. It's not going to really help you. But if
Mm-hmm.
you are a two-income family, you got a kid maybe, they're wanting to go to college, you need to save money for their college, you need to save money for yourself, because incorporation is just not also about saving tax money, it's also about protecting your assets so they can't come after your house. But it just depends on your level of income. For me, I was making, I live in California, and I was making a certain income, and we were a two-income household, and every year I would pay like really, really quite ugly quarterlies. And then I would still owe money in April. And it was just painful. And I'm like, this isn't working for me. So, I spoke with someone, and they're like, well, for you, and this is back in 2015, 2017 kind of era. And there he's like, well, if you make 75,000 or so, you incorporating might help you out. And I was making more than that. And so
Mm-hmm.
we incorporated. And the great thing about incorporating is, you're paying yourself a salary. So you are still paying into Social Security, because a lot of people are like, well, but then you're not paying into your Social Security system. It's like, yes, you are. You're just not paying. So when you're not incorporated and you're a sole proprietor, you're paying employment tax yourself, and then you're paying the business part of the employment, the FICA, the FUTA, all that fun stuff, right? Let me know if you don't know what those mean. But those are like, when you
I don't.
pay into the well, I know some people might not, when you pay into the unemployment benefits thing. But you're like, but Kyung, if you're the corporation, you are one the same, so you're paying for it as well. I'm like, yes. But let's say you are a sole proprietor and you make 150,000. Well, you're paying self-employment taxes on 150,000 because that's how much you made, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are a corporation and you pay yourself a salary, and you pay yourself a salary of 100,000 or 80,000. It has to be a reasonable amount, and you can talk about that with your accountant as well to find out what the reasonable amount is for you in whatever area you're located, because it's going to vary by geography and, this type of stuff you do. But let's say you're a corporation and you pay yourself a salary of 100,000. Well, now you're only paying employment taxes on $100,000. The rest of it you could take as a dividend, or you can invest it, or whatever. So if you're $100,000 and then the corporation takes that 50,000 and invests some of it in a 401k for you, like a company match or something, you're not paying employment taxes on that 50,000. So now you're only paying so it's 150,000 minus 100,000, and there's a 50,000 there, and then that's a pass through to you that you pay on your. This is for S corp. That's a pass through for you to pay on your individual taxes.
Oh, I think, okay, so here, wait, let me see if I understood you correctly. So you pay yourself from your $150,000 of revenue. If you have an S corp, you pay yourself 100,000, and then that 50,000 you can use for any business expenses.
Yes, or you can give yourself draws. But if you're giving yourself draws, you don't pay self-employment tax on draws. So you're not paying the employment tax on that 50,000. You're only paying on the 100,000.
So that's allowed? You're allowed to take a draw whenever you want?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, there's,
wow.
you can't pay yourself $25,000 and then take $125,000 worth of draw. It has to be, your salary has to be reasonable for what you do.
You could pay yourself a low salary like 50,000 and then use 100,000 for investing in your business, saying that someone would do that.
Investing in your investors. Yeah. You're not you're not paying for, you're not getting, that's not a salary to you. That's a corporation. The corporation may pay 1%. The corporation, some states have a corporation tax. Some states do not have a corporation tax. It just depends. I think California does. Let's say you paid yourself $50,000 and you paid $50,000 because your corporation is a very nice corporation and they pay all your health benefits. They pay for your health insurance. So now they're paying your health insurance. I pay my corporation pays for my health insurance. Like if you work for full time for IBM or Google, they have a compensation package and they pay for your health and benefits, right? Sometimes you have to chip in. Sometimes, like SCE or some of the utilities or the government, they give you a pension, they give you health benefits, you get bonuses, all of that you can give to your employee. You can put your children on your payroll and pay them like $1,000. And yes, you have to pay the employment tax on $1,000, but then your corporation, instead of paying taxes on $150,000, or you as the sole paying taxes on $150,000, you're only paying taxes on like 49,000 or whatever.
So are you paying taxes on, okay, so the $1,000 a month for your children, is that like if they're working for you or like as an
Yes.
employee?
Yeah.
Cool.
Go make your kids shred. I tried to do that with my daughter, but failed miserably. She would not do anything for me. And I'm like, I'm not paying you. You're fired. I'm not paying you anything. You won't do anything. I'm not paying you. So
But
didn't
that
work
you
out.
have to pay tax on, right?
You do have to pay employment tax on that.
Yes.
But, but that brings down your total taxes because now instead of you making $150,000, you're getting a W-2. You only made $80,000 this year or $100,000 this year. You pay yourself $20,000 in draw money, and then you pass through $20,000 and you only pay income tax on the $20,000 as opposed to $150,000 because you're paying because I think this, double check with your tax guy, but you pay income tax when you get your money, right?
Mm-hmm.
On that W-2. So now you're only paying, so instead of paying tax on 150,000, you're only paying on 100,000 and then, and then.
Yeah, that sounds like a great benefit to me. And I incorporated my business in 2018 just because I was so clueless about finances.
And then the other great thing about the incorporation, this during the pandemic, I don't know, knock on wood, I was able to, because I was a corporation and I laid myself off, I applied for unemployment insurance and I got unemployment insurance. And I didn't have to submit a Schedule C. I didn't have to do any of that because my corporation had been paying into the unemployment, I forget what that fund's called, but the unemployed insurance fund. I forget what it's called. I always screw that up. But I was paying into that. So, they'll open that up for independent contract because independent contractors are not paying into the unemployed insurance fund.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think of doing that. I should have totally done that during.
You could have laid yourself off.
I needed to.
Yeah. I got paid. I got paid the full amount of the benefits, $450 for like, I don't know, for a good number of weeks. I don't remember. I'm not going to say because I really don't remember how many. I didn't care. I was just like, oh, look, money. Good for me. And plus, because of the pandemic, I got the extra $300 or $600 that they were giving on top of that. So I got all of that. And then once that ran out, I rehired myself and I was able to get a PPP loan. So I was able to get, and the thing was, I didn't do, because people are like, oh, you can either do one or the other. You can't do them concurrently. You can do one, that ran out, rehired myself, and I did the other. And I got 2 PPP loans. So, and for the uninsurance part, look, I've been paying in the system. I've been paying into the system. Many of us have, a lot of corporations have paid into that system. And, for them, it's like, it's a benefit they have to because they're such large corporations. Smaller corporations, we really don't see that benefit except for this one instance where this happened. I mean, you could have applied as an independent contractor, but I heard so many times, I had to apply. I had to like show them all my bank statements. I had to supply a Schedule C. I had to do this. I had to jump through so many hoops, and it took so long, and it was so difficult for them to get their money. I don't know if you heard that, but I heard a lot of stories where people are like, I'm not getting it. And we were discussing that in Money Talks, which is my group, which is where on Facebook, where we discuss all of this stuff. And we talk numbers, and I know people freak out about that, but we talk numbers. And so we were talking about PPP loans, uninsured benefits. As a corporation, as an employee, you can apply for a family FMLA leave. So if you get pregnant, you can apply for that. I know a court reporter who did PPP, who got family leave, for her pregnancy, and who got a loan.
Wow. So there
as a corporation. I don't know that as an independent contractor, you aren't eligible for FMLA or you can opt in. You can opt in to pay. I'm going to look that up because it's really annoying me that I can't remember what it's called. Sorry. I'm going to go Google it.
No problem.
uninsured.
Yeah, it seems like there are a lot of benefits to having an S Corp for a long time. I didn't want to look at my credit card statements. I didn't want to look at anything. I would just like send the statements to my accountant and not track anything all year. For all I know, I could have been not being paid for some of the jobs that I did. But
see, that's another thing that would make me that makes me crazy when reporters tell
it made me crazy too.
No, because a lot of reporters get into this business and the first year is just, I got to learn how to produce a transcript. I got to find agencies that I can work for. I got to find people that I can trust. And then first 2 or 3 years, okay, I'm getting into the groove. I'm finally, and then year 4 or 5, it's like they've crawled out of their hole and it's like, okay, what have I been doing? Am I getting paid? Is this agency to be taken? I mean, a lot of reporters don't even realize that for the past 3 years of their lives, they've been taken advantage of by newer agencies that prey on new reporters, and it infuriates me. The other thing that makes me crazy, and it's reporters who say, I don't know how much I make from month to month. And there's no reason for you not to know. I mean, you should be invoicing every single job that you do. And so you don't even have to look, I mean, you look at it at the beginning and actually I enjoy the invoicing part. I'm like working very diligently to make sure that I am invoicing for every single penny that I am owed. Wait, was that interpreted? Wait, was there parking? Wait, was there video? Wait, was there real, every single. And then you get that number and that's it. You send that into the agency, and if the check comes back and it doesn't match up, you just
and you've got to have
and you just say, hey, my invoice shows this. You paid me this. Please send me the difference. That's, I mean, if they want to go, well, we show this. Well, that's not, so.
And that takes a lot of administrative skill and organization to keep up with that and create a system. You probably have a spreadsheet where you have everything laid out and all the numbers. So did you find what you were looking up, by the way?
No, I think it's just the uninsured benefits.
No problem. So as you're doing that, I'll just share my experience working with, I was going to ask you actually, who do you use for an accountant?
I had this guy who was I call him my tax guy. He was an EA, an enrolled agent. So he could, if worse came to worse and my tax and I got audited, he would be able to go in and represent me. But he got out of the business. I mean, he got out of the accounting portion of the business because he really just liked doing the representing people business. So I have a new tax accountant this year, and she's actually a CPA. And so this is my first year with her. So it's been a little bit bumpy. I feel like it's a little bit repetitive. Like when you go to the doctor and they ask you the same information over and over, and it's like, it's in your system. Why are you making me tell you my stuff? It's like, it's in your system. So there's this kind of, I need to tell her everything all over again. I'm having to supply all this information. And, oftentimes when you switch from one system to another or one accountant to another, they do things slightly differently. So she wants to reclassify all my stuff. And I'm like, wait, what? What are you doing? So we're still working on that. There are lots of accountants out there who work with court reporters. I don't really I don't refer anyone because I don't know anyone. I have to work with my person for a little while before I can refer them to anyone.
Yeah, totally. Because I find that having a good accountant is so important. I think that's really important for you to be able to communicate well with them. I, for a long time, struggled with that because I went from accountant to accountant trying to ask questions because I really wanted to understand the financials. As a business owner, it's important to understand that. And that's business is money, and we should know what's going on with our finances, how we can save the most on our taxes, all these questions I had. And I would ask my accountants, and I would just feel so dumb because the answers would be a different language to me.
No, I hear you. And the thing is, though, I pay my accountant quarterly. So they do bookkeeping. I handle my books. I'm the one invoicing. I'm the one who's matching, but they do my profit and losses my profit and loss statements quarterly, I think. And they're, and when I pay them quarterly, I feel that gives me the right to call them up or email them and say, hey, I have a question. I don't understand. They give me an answer. I don't understand. Explain it to me again. I'm paying them. I'm going to ask them until they explain it to me so that I understand it. That's how I feel. So I've paid you the money. I mean, unless you're just randomly going to an accountant and say, "Hey, I don't," your friend Joe Blow, the accountant down the street, "Hey, I don't understand this. Can you explain it to me?" Then you're taking up their time. And not to say that but I'm just saying in general,
Right.
if you have specific questions, you need to work with someone and talk with them. And if you aren't getting the answers so that you can understand, or you feel uncomfortable, or you're just like not getting it, either go back and ask again until you do understand, or, you can find someone new. But you have to
Yes.
be you have to be comfortable enough with your accountant, your tax person, whoever is working with you on your books, and tax keeping and bookkeeping, two separate things, because taxes are about, making sure that everything is getting into the right category and being written off correctly. Bookkeeping is when your invoices come in or the money comes in, they're matching up to the invoices. Your credits are the same, you're paying your people from the right
Yes.
places. If your professional, when you pay your yearly license fee for the CSR, that you're categorizing it as a license fee. That's
It's like
bookkeeping.
isn't it like, profit and loss statement
Mhm.
and things like that? That you can get all that
Accounting.
information from your bookkeeping. If you do your bookkeeping regularly, you experience peace of mind around your financials, I think, because that's something that I've always like really been anxious about, because I never really, like I said, I didn't really do my bookkeeping, but I knew that I should be doing it. And I
See,
do kind of do it with my transcript manager. Like we have an Excel set up,
uh-huh.
shared OneDrive spreadsheet where we do list out every single job, how many pages it was. And I just don't really keep up with it, but it's like super important. I mean, I do now, but for a long time, I didn't really keep up with
I
it.
don't really look at my financials. I'll be honest with you. I don't look at the profit and loss statements because honestly, as a court reporter, and my husband has told me this because he used to do stuff like he's like, as a court reporter, we don't sometimes people start a corporation because they want the loss. A lot of people have corporations and they take the corporation as a loss on their on their personal tax returns, and they get the income, they get the write off that way. Court reporters, unless you're in some states that don't pay very well, court reporters aren't losing money. Maybe agencies are, but court reporters, you and I, should not be losing money because our expenses are so low in contrast to how much we can bring in. So really, I've never lost money as a court reporter. There are times when I've like, well, that agency didn't pay me in full and we've gone ahead, but it's not like I've lost money per se.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that you need to like, go over your financials or your profit and loss statements like quarterly on a, and like unless all of a sudden someone's embezzling from you or something, and you should have enough knowledge to look at and go, hey, okay, this looks right. But as long as your bank account's not going into the negative, I think most people are okay. That's how I look at
Right.
it. But some people like they want to know to the last penny. And you know what? Actually, I actually balance my checkbook to the last penny every month. I've actually gone with whiteout and one of those people. But the bigger picture of it, the bigger picture, I kind of leave to my accountant and my bookkeeper. And if there's
Mm-hmm.
something going really seriously amok, I expect them to say something to me, and
Mm-hmm.
that's you have to have that degree of trust with the people you work with. Otherwise, it's going to be a
Definitely.
very, very uncomfortable experience in the long run.
Definitely. So, where are you from?
Well, I was born in Korea. I moved to Tennessee when I was young, and then we moved to California. So I've been in California most of my life.
Oh, wow. Have you ever
Uh-huh.
heard of Phil Liberatory CPA?
Yes. He is not
Mm.
someone I would recommend.
He's actually
So,
my accountant. But
oh, okay then. Then we should not
no, but I
discuss.
mean, like I said, I just kind of blindly went into it. I was like, this money stuff is just so overwhelming to me, and I don't want to deal with all the numbers. And I'm like, I just need to find someone who is like the best of the best in the industry, even though I don't really know, I didn't do much research, but the accountants that I did go to all made me feel like I was speaking a different language and made me feel like a little bit dumb. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with them because it was in the JCR. Someone wrote an article and mentioned Phil Liberatory being like a lifesaver in terms of money and taxes, and so I was like, you know what? He must be an expert in specifically court reporting because court reporting is so different from every other business.
He gets a lot of court reporters as his clients. He does. He advertises in the JCR. I think he speaks at some of the conventions, or he's just not someone I would personally recommend.
Yeah, and I never came across any of his advertisements. It was more like someone just wrote an article and mentioned him in it. So that's why I thought like, oh wow, like he's not even advertising, but this person's speaking highly of him and they're in the JCR. So, but honestly, like, yeah, I'm still open to looking for others and having better communication. I'm trying to improve my communication with my accounting team, and I don't have a bookkeeper. I don't do my own bookkeeping. I just send them all my bank statements at the end of the year, and I feel like, I mean, at the tax season time, and it's like, wow, I asked them what can I do throughout the year to help make this easier for you or for us? Like, I kind of feel bad just sending them the bank statements and everything, but they say that that's fine.
They just need the bank statements to reconcile. I mean, I remember one year, 2 tax people ago, I was with an accountant, and the people kept changing. So it was a constant revolving door, and it was making me crazy. I'm like, if the firm is so large that you're constantly getting shuffled from person to person, you cannot build a relationship, and you build a relationship, and then all of a sudden you've got somebody new and you're working on your account, and you have to explain everything all over again, and it's a pain in the butt. And I'm like, no, this is not working for me. I need to find someone where I am going to be this person's client. I do not want to be shuffled off to second tier or third tier or, your fourth assistant to have my accounts dealt with. If I'm paying the money, I need to be, I need a person who's going to be working with me on my account. That's just all there is to it. Because they're not doing it for free. I'm paying them, I feel like I pay them a decent amount of money. So, and people are like, well, how much do you pay? And that's across the board. You can pay as little as you want. You can go do your taxes on TurboTax and do everything yourself. And you do and all you've got is a 1040 EZ. I'm incorporated. I have a K1 that needs to go out. I have monthly P&Ls that are quarterly. I have P&Ls that are supposedly you're supposed to keep P&Ls. I think that might be a requirement. I don't know for sure, but I have an accountant, so I get P&Ls. You got to do 940s, 941s, which I have ADP handles my payroll actually. And that's another big thing because people are like, oh, you have to pay yourself a salary. You can't just go and just take draws as a corporation. You have to pay yourself a salary. That means you need to file with the government. You got to file quarterly. You got to file your 940s and 941s. I know several reporters who are smart enough, disciplined enough to save up that money, and they fill out the forms and they mail that money, and they electronically send that money to the government. I don't have the time. I don't have the inclination. I don't want to learn that part. There's a lot of stuff I've learned. So I have ADP handles that for me. So they do the payroll, and then they take the taxes out. They send the taxes that need to be sent to the government for the unemployment and the Social Security and all that fun stuff. And then they send me, and then we do electronic deposit, and it goes into Kyung Lee Green's personal account, the employee, from SoCal Reporters Inc., the corporation, 2 separate entities. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they say, my boss isn't very nice. She hasn't given me a raise in like 3 years. So I thought about giving myself a raise this year, honestly. And I went and looked at it, and I'm like, okay, so what if I raise my hourly to this? Because I pay myself I do my payroll tax. I do my payroll monthly. I know some people just do it quarterly. I do it monthly. So some people, you can pay yourself weekly or every 2 weeks or monthly or quarterly, whatever floats your boat. But I pay myself monthly, and I pay myself for 160 hours, I think 40. And I looked at how much I would have to save, and I'm like, oh, or how much more I would have to put out. I'm like, oh, I didn't like that. And so I put myself back down to the original amount. I did not give myself a raise this year. but maybe I'll get myself a raise. It's always in the back. My next board meeting, you have to have board meetings. And my next board meeting, that'll be on the agenda, whether to give Kyung Lee Green a raise or not this year. Depends on how,
You are the CEO and the employee, and yeah. That just reminds me, speaking of states, like I know it's different in different states. Mm-hmm. So there was someone in the chat that I ended up in Money Talks for court reporters, and they recommended something that was really awesome. It sounded like the best thing ever. And I actually copy and pasted her message and posted it on my group, the Entrepreneurial Court Reporter, because I thought it was such valuable information. Like, it's basically a company that does specifically like all-inclusive financial advising and incorporating for corporations. And I was like, this is exactly what I need. Like, it includes payroll, it includes taxes, it includes everything related to your incorporation and advice and all that stuff. So I called them and scheduled a consultation right away. And, sure enough, it sounded like perfect, but they only don't cover New York. New York is the only state they don't do, because they say apparently it's very complicated. New York is like totally on another level.
I don't know that you have to incorporate in New York. I mean, you see so many companies. Oh, well, but I'm just saying, you could, you see so many companies and they're incorporated in Delaware.
Really?
So I don't know.
You don't have to actually have an address in Delaware?
I don't know how that works. I've never thought about it, but when I take depots, there's lots of corporations that are not incorporated in the state in which they're located.
I should have incorporated in Maine.
Yeah,
but
I mean, look, I incorporated. No, I think I started off as a business entity, and then when I incorporated, I had to get a new TIN number and I get a new account. It was just such a pain in the butt. It was just like, I'm not ever going to do it again. I'll just, I'll do my articles of incorporation every year, make sure I do that, like getting your license every year, so I don't have to ever do that again. It is a pain in the butt. So I probably wouldn't dissolve my current corporation and then incorporate, because there are tax benefits to incorporating in different states, and that's why some corporations incorporate in whatever state they happen to incorporate in. I know that. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I know nothing.
If I had known, I probably would have looked into it before just diving deep into the corporation and getting it done in New York. But hey, it is what it is, and it's a learning experience. Yeah, I got it done, and my accountant's taking care of it, and I've never had any major issues. So I'm very grateful for my S Corp. I've over the years, I've kind of come to understand the benefits of it, of having the taxes taken out through payroll and having things streamlined in that way, and then having the ability to really invest in my business. And anything business related, I can just use the revenue that's in the business account to cover those expenses. And it just makes it easier for anyone who wants to really invest in their business, to hire someone, to hire a lot of independent contractors, or, I'm someone who always delegates everything I possibly can. So it's definitely saved me a lot of money, even though I wasn't making, when I first incorporated, I wasn't making like 100,000 even, but it still saved me a lot of money. And I think I would recommend it for everyone who is in the similar situation.
Yeah. I mean, it's one more step in separating yourself out as you, the individual, versus you, the individual versus the business entity. And a lot of court reporters don't look at themselves as two different. They just think, oh, this is me. But it's like, if you're going to stay small and you're only going to do independent IC work, and you don't think you're going to go above a certain threshold, it's kind of limiting. If you do give yourself the opportunity to look into it and, separating yourself out as a corporation, I mean, you can be an S Corp, you can be a C Corp, you can be an LLC, an APC. You can do all of those things. Whether it's right for you or not is something that you have to discuss with your accountant or your CPA or your tax person. But those are paths that you can take. Those are choices, so you don't have to just be, oh, I'm just an independent contractor, I'm just going to keep doing it that way. I mean, if that works for you and your finances are simple and you don't ever, have problems paying your taxes, or, making too much money and like, at the end of the year, it's like, oh God, I'm owing so much. And, if it works for you, great. Go ahead, keep doing what works for you. If it's not broke, you don't have to fix it. But for some of us, it was just the burden of paying those taxes was just like overwhelming. And it was just like, I went on a payment plan, and that is ugly because you have to pay your regular quarterlies, which are god awful. And then you're paying monthly, like hundreds and thousands of dollars monthly on top of that. So it was just like an ugly, ugly year.
Hundreds of thousands?
Well, hundreds and thousands, not hundreds of thousands. Sorry, no.
Hundreds and thousands, yes.
No, hundreds and
I was going to say, wow, okay, yeah,
no,
that would be...
No, but it was ugly. It was ugly, and I did not, and it was just like, oh God, I don't want to pay this anymore. It was just, a lot of reporters come out and they make like $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 the first year, and they're like, they don't pay a single dime in taxes, and then April 1st rolls around, they owe $30,000.
Yep.
And you have to write a check for $30,000. And that hurts.
Ooh, ouch. Yeah. Wow. Well, I would have asked you, I mean, if I knew from the beginning. That sounds like maybe we can do another episode one day, but that sounds like a great story. I love to hear when people go through some difficulties and then how they overcome it. So if you went through some issues with the taxes and you overcame it and figured out a solution, and I love hearing stories like that. I think everybody can learn a lot from those. But in the last couple of minutes, I want to just ask you some fun personal questions. Like, I think it's really cool that you're from Korea. And I don't know if you love Korean food or anything, but what is your favorite food?
I like sushi.
Sushi. Oh, Japanese, right?
I really like sushi. Yeah, I would happily choose sushi. I like Korean food, but my number one choice is sushi, and then Korean, and then I like to eat, so I like all kinds of foods. So
okay,
in fact,
that's
I'm doing a networking brunch on the 29th. And so we're going to be going to the Sevilla Cafe, which is Spanish tapas kind of things. And so we're going to be going there, and I'm excited because it'll be different. It'll be Spanish.
Oh my gosh, I love tapas. I went to San Sebastian when I was 16, and I loved the tapas. They were so delicious. Oh my gosh, that sounds so fun. Actually, today I just posted in my group asking if anybody wants to do like a weekly Zoom lunch, like where we just meet and have casual lunch talk over Zoom, or even coffee, just to kind of get to know people and make friends.
Are you okay? Oh, you're still muted.
Sorry about that.
No, I almost had a choking fit on count. I had a choking fit on I'll talk over your choking fit like the attorneys do to us. I had a choking fit on Depo, and I was just like, and I threw my hands up in the air, and I'm like, oh, stop, counsel, stop. I mean, it was a bad one.
Oh my gosh, I can't.
Stop, counsel. I can't take anything down. I'm not breathing.
That's happened to me too. And like, you're coughing and you can't hear the testimony because you're coughing and it's louder than the conversation. And oh my gosh, that's the worst ever.
It's like, counsel, you'll have to redo the last 5 minutes. I was dying.
I remember like trying so hard to hold my cough in on the record, and it was so bad.
Yes.
Okay. And what part of Korea are you from?
Well, I was born in Seoul, Korea. So,
wow.
But I left when I was 2, so I didn't really spend very much time there.
I just love Korea so much. I'm obsessed with the culture of Korea. I love how they're... I have, yeah. I went, and I just love the culture in general, and the food, and how amazingly kind-natured the people are towards each other, and how united they are as a nation, and how they just serve each other and really work together in unity. Like, it's so different from Western culture, I think.
Yeah. After the Korean War, they went through a very, very difficult time where they were so poor, and everything, they were like, people were like literally starving in the countryside. And so they really had to pull together or they weren't going to make it. My parents, my mom came to the United States in 1972. And she came as a nurse on some kind of nurse bill. And so she was here for a little while. And then her husband and I came over after that. So they moved to the U.S. because it was just too hard to survive in Korea. So they went through a very, very difficult time.
And yeah, that hardship really brought them together. Like, the way that they responded to the hardship made them what they are, and especially like the mothers in Korea, I've heard that it was the mother's love and sacrifice and devotion to consider their children everything, not for just themselves, but for the sake of the country, to let Korea rise. So it's amazing to see how it's risen back up from going from one of the poorest countries in the entire world to now one of the top leading nations in entertainment, in BTS, you see that they're on the top of the charts everywhere, and even in like skincare and food and K-pop and everything. It's so cool. I love it. I'm sure you're proud to be a Korean.
Yeah. No. I enjoy it. It's like I have my favorite K-pop bands and shows that I like. So yeah, K-dramas.
Oh yeah, K-drama too, like Squid Games. What's your favorite?
I like some really old ones, Shinhwa and
Oh,
they're
cool.
21's
I don't know about
old
those.
girl. Yeah, that's a girl group. Shinhwa is one of the original Korean boy bands. They've been around forever.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I don't really listen to or follow much about it, but because my church was established in South Korea, and we do a lot of cultural learnings about it, and we hosted a kimchi festival. We hosted Korean cultural festival where I was one of the presenters of we did a timeline of the history of Korea.
Oh, wow.
And how it relates to Bible prophecy and things like that. And so I thought that it was fascinating to me learning all that. So anyways, thank you so much for sharing all of your amazing, insightful knowledge. And I can't wait to re-listen to this again and gain
Hopefully it comes across coherent, because sometimes I get up on my soapbox and it's like, oh, Kyung, you need to step off my husband says I'm preachy. I can't help it. I'm very passionate about it. And I get on a roll and I'm like, okay, people, we can do this. We can do this.
Oh, well, that's good, So where can people find you? Of course, on your Facebook group, right?
Facebook page. I try, before the pandemic, I used to do in-person get-togethers where I would actually have some classes. I had a couple of classes. I did a spreadsheet class. And so I've moved it online for Zoom. But I'm moving back into the real world. Like I said, I do, and it's open to everyone. I have had people who come in for my stuff. So, I do an annual corporate retreat where we go to a spa and we hang out and we pamper ourselves and we talk shop. So it's kind of it's a write-off for you. So you get a massage and it's a write-off because we are talking shop. I have a little agenda that I give to people. So in case their accountants ask, what the heck did you do? Why are you charging this? Look, we discussed this, and this. This year, I'm going to have a wellness doctor of nursing, Milan Chavaka. She's going to be there and she's going to be speaking about wellness and stuff and she's into more homeopathic, more organic wellness modalities. So she'll be speaking about that this year. And then
that is so important.
Yes, I know, because a lot of people, as Corp reporters, it's really, we have to provide our own health insurance. So, we
have to take care of ourselves.
And it's stressful. It's a stressful career. So we need to know the different things that we can do to make ourselves healthier. Yeah. And then, so I have that. And like I said, I'm on Facebook. I do Zooms. I'm thinking of doing just maybe once in a while, I'll just do pop-up lives and see if anyone's around and want to chat or anything. It's kind of like your lunches, but it might be a surprise / guerrilla pop-up. Have you used the Facebook rooms? Do you do that? I haven't. I can't even. That's a learning curve. I haven't gotten the Facebook Live thing down yet, or the Rooms thing.
I'm trying that too.
Yeah, so it's not easy. Actually, it's not that user friendly. Honestly.
Well, these podcasts were supposed to be recorded on Facebook Live, but because we couldn't figure out, I can do a live myself, but when it comes to interviewing someone else and bringing someone else on, we were having all these difficulties with it. So I figured, let's just do Zoom.
Yeah, no, I think you have to set up the live you have to set up one first and then the other, and I don't know which order you're supposed to do it in. So it's difficult.
I mean, if I figure it out, I'll let you know. And I hope everybody joins your group. It's called Money Talks for Court Reporters, and you can reach out to her there. So
I write very long, very preachy posts. I mean, I just go on and on and on. It's like, oh my God, stop talking, Kyung. So
and we need it all, right? We need it. It's very important topics we're talking about here.
just to give you a fair warning.
All right. Well, thank you so much for all that you do for the court reporting industry, and
thank you.
Have a good evening.
Oh yeah.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Court Reporter podcast. Did you know that we have virtual lunches and coffee breaks together as colleagues over Zoom? If you want to join the Facebook group Entrepreneurial Court Reporters, and you can RSVP there.